good evening, and welcome to Tea Time.
Welcome to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me. It is Monday, April 29th. I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and get to my in-studio guest. Friday, I really didn't do much because I found out that I broke a rib on my left-hand side. It was a freak accident. If I tried choreographing this thing, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm okay. I'm a little in pain. It hurts to like cough, laugh, or sneeze, but I will get through it. And nothing you could do for it. Basically, takes 6 to 8 weeks for it to heal, no heavy lifting, and that's that. So I was chilling at home on Friday because Saturday, I went to the Boogie Down Bronx at Cinema on the Sound, where my good friend Jerry Landy, there he is, showed the movie Joey, which I played a character named Stormy, and thank you, Jerry Landy. It was a great night. The audience was packed. They really just enjoyed the show. All right, so what did I do? And then Sunday is, you know, laundry day. We only clean underwear. And then I came here for limo talk. And I also want to mention two things. First is Murdered by the Mob. Is a great murder mystery show in Manhattan at the Iron Bar, and we're doing it, I think, we're doing it twice a month, every month until August. There's a pic of Ralph Bracco and I. I'm Bunny. He played Vito that night. You eat, you sing, you dance, you drink. It's just so much fun. Come down, bring people. It's very interactive, and I have a big announcement to make. Omar Moore. This just in, Omar Moore just texted me because I had him on last week and we talked about his two big series, Paper, which is like Power Book, and Me and My Nuts. And I'm so happy to say that Paper, which we're going to throw up, is now on Tubi. Yay! So if anyone wants to watch Paper, go on Tubi, watch it. I'm in it. I play the secretary, and I can't wait to watch it myself and see all the shows, because I don't know exactly how many there are, but that's on Tubi. Thank you so much. All right, so listen, I'm excited to get to my guest. She has a podcast right here in beautiful Paradise Studios. She's an astrologer. She's also a life coach. Well, we could all use one of those these days. And she's also a psychic medium. So I'm excited to welcome Georgia Rose. Hi.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited you're here.
I know, we've been talking about this for a while. We finally got to do it.
I know.
Life always gets in the way every time.
It's all about timing.
You're so busy. I'm always so inspired by you because you've got the energy and you're running around.
I try. I don't even take Geritol yet. You know what I mean?
Too young for that.
Well, no, not really. But listen, I want everyone to get to know you, and just tell everyone, where did you grow up? Are you from the island?
I am from the island. I grew up on the North Shore.
Cool.
Typical childhood that everyone had. Post-war parents.
Yeah.
Kind of ruled with an iron fist. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah, very strict Sicilian household.
Yeah.
In my house, and being the oldest was the icebreaker.
I grew up in an Italian family as well, so the boys were favored.
Oh yeah, they got to do whatever they wanted.
Oh yeah, my sisters and I cleaned the house on Saturday while they were at Little League.
That's what we did.
And so then we have to unravel that kind of stuff in our life.
Yeah,
and we grow up our relationships.
So when you were in high school or college, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I didn't. Actually, my story is kind of strange, not the norm. What happened was I think I can remember from a very young age really getting sensations and feelings and, growing up in a traditional Catholic Italian household, everyone labeled it as something bad. So when I grew up and I would have these psychic feelings, I didn't know that's what they were.
Right.
So I labeled them as anxiety.
How old were you the first time you experienced it?
Probably young. I would say maybe 6 to 8. There was like places in the house that I wouldn't want to go alone because I would feel spooked from them.
Yeah.
And my parents would get aggravated, and so they would say, "Oh, she's just scared. She's just an anxious kid."
Right.
So I had that label. So I really grew up with a lot of anxiety because you have these physical feelings and stuff. And so that was a huge journey for me in my life to learn that not everything gets labeled in the negative.
Right, right.
And that was part of my journey. So, flash forward, I remember even in junior high, how we have confirmation when you're like 12, 13.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I remember coming home that day from confirmation and telling my mom that I felt the Holy Spirit. And I said, Mom, I was in church and I really felt spirit, like I felt him around us, and I felt this strong sensation.
Yeah.
And, she was just like, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. Because that's how it was.
Yeah.
And so I think that I always had the ability. I think I squashed it because I was told it was something abnormal. So then as I got older, and I would say it probably wasn't until, my late 30s, mid 40s, like not very long ago, that
you start like embracing it.
Yeah. So
and like honing in on it and just trying to.
Yeah. And that was only when, it's always, I always say, like, we don't really go to church when we're winning lotto, right? We always go to church when things happen.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had a time in my life when, a lot of tragedy happened in a very brief amount of time. And I can say that it was really the universe in a correction, because I wasn't living the path I should live. Mm-hmm. And so, I was typical type A, very strong, workaholic personality, very overachieving, and all in the material world.
Now, does that have to do with what sign you are?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely so. I know for me, there are certain aspects in my chart that make me prone to find safety in the physical world.
Okay.
So that's definitely, like, for instance, in your chart, you have a lot of Virgo energy, but it's in the 5th house. Mm-hmm. So 5th house is the Leo energy of wanting to be out in the world and shining your light. So when I saw that, I'm like, boy, she's doing exactly what she's supposed to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
It is good to know.
That energy of I exist, I want to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're at home in front of the camera.
I am.
Yeah. You probably get a little down if you're not in front of the camera for a few days.
Yeah, it does. It's like, because it was funny because I was talking to someone the other day and I said, that's my happy place.
Absolutely. And it's in your chart. It's absolutely.
Well, we're going to get to the chart a little bit later, but I want to
Okay.
know more about your gift, because you decided at a certain age later in your life you were going to embrace it.
Right.
So how did you hone in on this? And then when did you start saying to yourself that you felt comfortable enough to really start doing readings? And then let's incorporate also the tarot that you do.
Right. So it was really a process for me. What happened was a lot of tragedy in a 2-year period. I lost my mom and dad 6 months apart. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I just watched my mom die of breast cancer. And then other things happened where I lost people. My best friend of my almost whole life passed away from leukemia.
Oh my God, so did mine.
It's such a tragedy, I'll tell you, to go through that and watch someone.
It was horrific. She was 55.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, my friend was about the same age. So I had all these things happening, and I remember a friend of mine said, you need to go to a psychic medium. And I was like, what are you talking about? A psychic medium? I would never do that.
Right.
And so she mentioned this name, who happens to be someone on the island.
Okay.
And then I went to a cocktail party, and someone else, totally unrelated, said the same name and told me to go to this psychic.
Really?
So I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to listen to somebody.
Okay.
So I went to this psychic, and when I walked in, the first thing he said to me was, you have the ability to do this. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
And it was just a strange thing. And then I spent like an hour and 10 minutes with this gentleman. And when I left there, it was like I had just had tea with my mom and dad who were on the other side. It was so amazing, Theresa. It was like, it gives me chills to this day to think about it. So that started me on the path of there's something else out there. Died. My dad was, typical Italian, macho, veteran of 2 wars.
Yep.
And when we had the conversation about what do you want, at your funeral, we know we're coming to this time, he didn't want anything. And I said to him, all right, well, if you get there and you find there's something on the other side, you just give me a sign.
Okay.
So when he passed out over that night, I went home and I thought I wasn't going to sleep, but I fell asleep. And I dreamt this dream, but it was, I tell this story often, it was this sunrise. Like I was going on the water like you would on the Great South Bay in the boat, and there was this sunrise, and I can't even describe to you the colors in this sunrise. It was like another world.
Right.
And so I woke up that morning, and I thought that I was going to be like upset, and all of a sudden I was so accepting, and I just knew that I had seen paradise. I had seen the other side.
Right.
And that really started me on the path, and then seeing that psychic. And so it was like the universe was tapping me on the shoulder and saying, we need you to look over here. And so then, of course, went through that whole, because I was raised very Catholic and went to Catholic schools, that whole, like, this is not good, you know. So then my first opening, I started to study angels. And through the angelic realm, I started to receive messages, and it really just kind of happens for me. I can't really even explain how. I know a lot of psychics have a ritual they do, or
Right.
a meditation.
Everyone has like their own way of reading.
I just kind of give myself over to the fact that it's not really me. It's spirit coming through me and using me.
Right.
So, you know, I always just basically say, you know, if I can be used for someone's healing, to do that, you know. But it was a whole path, obviously, of things. And I always say, I was Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love without the international travel.
I love that movie. What a great movie.
You would be great in that movie, too. You should do a remake.
Great movie.
But yeah, so I was like, it was like there was this buffet of life, and it's always true what they say, when you're ready, the teacher appears. So I would just be, you know, I'd go someplace and meet some random person, and they'd be like, hey, did you ever do tarot? Or, hey, did you ever try Reiki? Or, and just started, I was so open after years. Yeah,
right,
it was just this beautiful
time. Just to embrace everything.
Yeah,
that's new.
And that's the advice I give to people now when they start to really find their truth and their identity, is just be open, because the universe is going to take care of it.
Yeah.
You know? Like being here with you tonight. You know, this is where we're supposed to be.
Absolutely. I totally believe it. I really, really do. And I believe we have to take my first break already. So you know what? Don't go away. More with Georgia Rose when we come back after this. We'll be back right after these messages.
Wonder Woman was everything to little girls, especially that look like me. She stands for being a voice for people that need a voice. My organization renovates homes for people with disabilities. And when I come home, a self-care routine makes me feel my best. I'm very proud of the difference that we're making, and to see that impact in my community inspires me to work even harder for everyone around me.
All right. Is everybody having a good time tonight or what? That's what I thought. All right, so we are live, Paradise Studios, New York. Give yourself a round of applause for coming out tonight. Woo!
Well, hi there, Theresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Theresa. Bye.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's tea time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. I have Georgia Rose here. She is a podcast host. She's an astrologer, a life coach, a psychic medium. There it is, Soul Space. She is on every Monday night at 7 o'clock, right before my show. So make sure you tune in before tea time. Thank you for that. I want to give some shout outs to Bruno and Michael and Ann and Greg and Sherry, Lauren, Fran, Elizabeth. Thank you everyone for watching the show. Please like it, please share it. Tea Time's on every Monday night live on YouTube and Facebook, 8 o'clock. And then it goes to Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV, everywhere podcasts, podcasts can be heard and seen every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Channel 20. on Saturdays for people who live on Long Island and get Optimum TV. We're talking about Georgia and how she has this, you know, this gift that, you know, was not embraced as a child, but as she got older, she embraced it, and she learned to really hone in on it and help people in need.
And I still learn every day, you know. I'm actually in a huge mentorship program now with a gentleman from Sweden for astrology.
Nice.
So I'm always trying to go deeper so we can help people.
Nice. Well, you know what? You brought up astrology. So let's talk about it, because I find astrology very interesting. I don't know too much about it. I just know I was born September 6th. I am a Virgo.
Yes.
And I know that when I read my horoscope,
Got your
sometimes
chart right here.
sometimes when I read my horoscope, it makes sense. And then when I read about my personality, it makes a lot of sense, because I know, like, I'm a perfectionist and I try to do things a certain way, and I could be a little, you know, thick-headed, but that's because I think I'm Italian too. So it's like, you know, I don't know what's like. So Georgia does charts. She will do your chart. And she said, I need your date of birth, where you were born, and what time you were born.
Yep, very important.
And those are the 3 things that you really need to do someone's chart.
Yeah.
So first tell me why you need those 3 things and why a person should have their chart done. What can they really learn about themselves that they might not know?
Yeah, so when I was on that journey of, like, at the buffet of life and tasting everything.
Yes.
One day I went for an astrology reading, because now I'm out there, I'm looking for the meaning of life, and you know, I'm on my trek, I'm on my vision quest. And when I sat with an astrologer and she went over my whole chart, what happened in that meeting was everything that had happened to me in my life suddenly started to make sense. And the dots were connected. And she came from a perspective of, this is the way you are instinctively, this is your natural soul's ability to, in this lifetime, desire certain things, and it has an intention.
Right.
And so with that came a lot of forgiveness in my life, because it was the first time I really thought things aren't being done to me, they're being done so my soul can evolve.
Right.
So it's really for us. So, and still to this day, when I do a reading for someone, there's always this connection that happens where I do evolutionary astrology, which is really based on certain planets and certain aspects and the soul in the chart. And I can read a chart and I'll know exactly why your soul is here in this lifetime and what its intention is.
Really?
Yeah, and that's what evolutionary astrology does.
Because I really believe there are no accidents in life.
No accidents.
I believe whatever we're supposed to go through, we're supposed to go through.
Right, and we have choice. We have choices.
You know, and
with
it's
it.
like when it comes to meeting new people, they're either a lesson or a blessing.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I really believe that. You know, it's funny because I always say you make plans and God laughs.
Yep.
Because we're really not
Very
in control.
true. No.
I mean, to a certain degree.
Well, our choices are.
Right.
But there's certain lessons that we're going to learn, and that's why people will come to me and they'll say, you know, I always end up in this situation, I don't know why, and then I'll look in the chart and I'll see exactly why they're attracted to that person.
Right.
And they'll keep being attracted to that person in a different body,
even
with
if
a different
it's toxic.
name. Right. And it'll be like a series of people who are really the same person.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can see that in the chart, and then I can kind of give them a little advice, or I can give them wisdom or information that now they see things differently. Because when I do a reading for somebody, that's really my goal, is not to tell them, but to have them experience it the way they need to experience it. Because I think we learn through story, and we learn mostly through our own story. You know, we know where the cracks are, and we know where the wounds are.
Yeah, I got a lot of cracks.
Yeah, I know. We need a lot of blacktop.
I need some spackle. I need something. So what did you learn from my chart? I'm so curious
to tell you,
to know
you
this.
are definitely on the path that you're supposed to be on. And it's funny that you just mentioned about the perfectionism, because that is something that you're going to be challenged with your whole life. Because you've got like 5 planets in Virgo. And Virgo is an energy that's here to teach us that the world is imperfectly perfect. You know, like you just said the expression about we make plans and God laughs. That's also a Virgo thing, because you'll still want it to be perfect. You know, you'll come in and you'll move these flowers around a million times, you know. But what you really need to do, and what Virgo is really about, is this one word, adjustment.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's like adjustment.
Sounds like a challenge.
It is a challenge, but I have to say that the way that in your lifetime, the way that energy is going to also be adjusted is, you probably are a little bit, like I know how you are, because we share studio space here.
Yeah.
And you're very meticulous about the way the show is. But once the camera rolls, it's like, c'est la faire.
Yeah. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Right.
Exactly.
So that alter ego is great for you because that's really using the correct way of the Virgo energy. It's like you have this beautiful space to not be tormented by perfection in.
Right.
But before you get there, you're going to make sure everything's perfect.
Right. And then whatever happens is going to happen.
Right. But once the camera's rolling or the lights are on or the play starts, the curtain's up, you're like, I'm in my jive. You know, I'm in my element.
Right.
Because I can be free here. I feel at home.
Yeah.
Because that's the natural ability of a Virgo.
Right.
And you'll be very hardworking. Everyone else will go home. You'll still be doing the lines. You'll still be rehearsing. That's why you're in a great place for this. The other thing is you have Taurus ascendant. Your sun and your moon are both in Virgo.
Okay.
And Taurus is your ascendant, which means that Taurus is the sign of the bull, so you can be a little stubborn.
Yeah.
When you want it a certain way, it's going to be that way.
Yeah.
But also there's stability with that. Because have you ever tried to move a bull? You're not moving a bull.
No.
So as much as that can be vexing for others, it's a really great quality because you're stable, you're going to stick with somebody, you know, through thick and thin, you're not going to give up easily. You have that stability and that tenacity, like you're a stalwart, like you're the rock, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's probably, I'm sure the friendships you have are probably very long friendships.
They are.
Yeah, that's that stability of Taurus.
Yeah.
Taurus on the ascendant also is creature comforts. Like you love massages or perfumes or doing things like that are very indulgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Taurus thing. Taurus is all of our resources and things like that. And also right now, Jupiter is just crossing over your ascendant. Jupiter is a planet of benevolence and good luck. So you're having a Jupiter return. So this probably the last few weeks and now for another little while, probably some great things are happening for you.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Yeah.
It's exciting also.
Yeah. And they're for you personally because it's the first house. So, you know, so I can definitely look in a chart and see those things. I also will tell you that the other energy that plays out across your whole chart, the red thread, the connection across the whole chart, is Mercury energy and communication.
Really?
So the fact that you are doing this podcast, the fact that you're out there, you're speaking, like your voice is very important to you.
Yeah.
And I would think, like, are you very curious? Like, how has curiosity played a role in your life?
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of what I do because I love people and I love to hear their stories.
Yeah, and you ask
so
questions.
I am curious about, you know, your journey.
Right.
Everyone's life, you know, everyone has such a different life, you know, journey in life. But yeah, I enjoy that.
And that's because your North Node is in the sign of Gemini. It's in the second house, which we'll get to in a minute. But the North Node in the sign of Gemini, where the North Node in our chart, it's like an arrow pointing us where we're supposed to go in our life. And in Gemini, it's ruled by Mercury, which is all about communication. It's our voice, it's our mind, it's the way we interpret information.
Right.
And you were born with Mercury retrograde, which means that when Mercury is retrograde, you're on fire.
Okay.
When most people have the glitchy stuff, and you're good.
Okay.
And I have the same aspect of Mercury
Really?
retrograde.
Oh, that's good.
And the other part of Mercury retrograde is it will give you an ability to discern information in the way of, I don't need that, I just need this. You know, you'll read 10 pages and you'll take 2.
Right.
And that's great again for what you do, you know.
Yeah.
So the chart that you have has really led you to where you are. Even your talk show here is a talk show and it's a podcast, but it's really a show where you ask questions. That North Node in Gemini and Mercury is all about dialogue. And it's the twins, Gemini.
Yeah.
So when we think about talking and conversing, that dialogue is you're on, I'm on, you're off, I'm on, you're off.
Right.
It's the switch.
Yeah.
And so you have a natural ability to do that. And you're naturally inquisitive, so it's just going to work.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
So
excited.
you've found your little spot, your little hub.
I guess so. You know,
Yeah.
this is exciting, and I
Yeah.
think you know a lot of people are curious when it comes to astrology,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and their sign and what does it all mean? Because
Right.
I mean, like I said, this isn't something that, you know, I don't know too much about. Some
Right. Mm-hmm.
people are into it, and then some people are like me, and they just know I'm a Virgo, and I'll read my horoscope, and
Well,
you know.
like one of the things in the chart with what we're just talking about that Gemini communication energy, you're not going to feel comfortable unless your questions are answered. You need the information to feel safe.
Right.
So once you know that about yourself, then, it's like, no, I'm not nosy. No, I'm not, overly thinking things.
Right.
This is
right.
what I need to
Right.
function at full potential.
Yeah.
So the judgment comes off.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Well, I want everyone to know that Georgia, if you go to Georgia Rose, she's on Facebook, and she has a website. It's www.zencuda.com, which we're going to talk about Zencuda also. And also, people can email you. Because I know it's on the web.
Connect at Zencuda.
Yeah, connect at zencuda.com. You can email her to get your chart done. Because this is very exciting. I find it very fat and very fascinating.
And you can also, through any of my social media or email, send me your information. And at the end of all of my podcasts, we take the last 10 minutes and we read a chart randomly.
Right. It's so cool. And like I said, and you could also watch her every Monday night, 7 o'clock, and she takes call-ins.
Yes, live show.
So it's a live show like mine, and you could call in and ask a question, or depending on what your topic is that night, to make some kind of connection. we're gonna take my next break, and then when we come back, I want to talk about Zencuda and what it is and how it helps people. So stay right there. We'll be back after this. Don't go away.
Wonder Woman was everything to little girls, especially that look like me. She stands for being a voice for people that need a voice. My organization renovates homes for people with disabilities. And when I come home, a self-care routine makes me feel my best. I'm very proud of the difference that we're making, and to see that impact in my community inspires me to work even harder for everyone around me.
Hi, I'm Georgia Rose, founder of Zencuda. You can watch me on the Soul Space podcast every Friday at noon on Channel 20 for spiritual guidance. And as you all know, that is how I first opened into my own psychic gifts, was through the angelic realm, astrology. So we've got Mars and the Sun together in Scorpio, which creates a lot of combustion. In the astrological world, we call that a kazemi, and tarot. When the Four of Cups right side up, it means we have a lot of choices to make, and we're not looking at what's really being divinely given to us. We're too busy in the busyness of the choices to really see the divine intervention and the divine timing and the divine guidance. We're the place. Watch the Soul Space podcast.
How you doing? It's Sal the Voice Valentinetti. Why are you watching me? You should be watching Theresa Canastraci Tea Time with Theresa Canastraci Farrell. And make sure you follow Theresa on Facebook. Tea Time with Theresa Canastraci Farrell. We'll see you there.
I love the way you say my name. I love. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. Just want you to know that Gina and Vinny from Rescuing Families, that's a nonprofit organization that renovate homes for people with disabilities. So if you want to check them out, go to Rescuing Families.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great organization. Wow. And Gina's in that Dove commercial, and they wouldn't let her name her company.
Oh.
So I just want to give Rescuing Families a plug. It's a great organization.
Yeah.
Georgia Rose,
podcast
host right here at beautiful Paradise
In
Studios.
my earthbound life, I'm a realtor.
We're going to talk about that too. Monday night, 7 o'clock. She's also an astrologer. We were just talking about my chart and all these planets and retrograde, and it just sounds it's just so fascinating to me.
Dishing some astrology tea.
Also a life coach and a psychic medium. I mean, so a plethora of things. And also, yes, we need a job to pay the bills. So you also are.
I am a realtor. I've been a real estate broker for almost 30 years. Wow. I had my own brokerage.
That's awesome.
I do a leadership position at a big company, and I also list and sell homes.
Yeah.
So
I want to mention Zencuda. Zencuda. What is Zencuda?
Zencuda actually happened just like the universe snapped its fingers. So I'm on the path, right? What I was just talking about, and I'm, now I'm spiritual, but I'm still, like you say, you got to make the bread. So I'm at the time I had a brokerage office. I had my own real estate company. And I'm in the office, and this builder walks past my secretary, stalks in, past my office doors and comes up to my desk and he goes, "Are you Georgia?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I heard you were Barracuda. I want you to represent me."
Wow.
And so, I had built up a reputation for being very good at what I did and representing my clients. And, some people would be very, happy about that.
Yeah.
But because now I started to have a different level of consciousness and I'm starting to think in a spiritual way, I was so insulted that this gentleman called me a Barracuda that it stuck with me all day. So I didn't say anything to him. I ended up doing some deals and a project with him, but I couldn't get rid of this icky feeling.
This title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was driving home that evening and I'm like, I'm not a Barracuda. I'm a Zencuda.
Oh, there you go.
And so I coined the phrase and trademarked the name. And
I love it.
Basically what Zencuda is, all those years I was a workaholic and I brought all that determination and that energy and that wisdom and experience to that. Now I'm just as serious and determined about my Zen. So Zencuda is a lifestyle. It's content. It's a community where people who are really serious on the soul path to live in alignment with their soul come for support. And we do tarot readings. We do online classes and the podcast. I talk about spiritual wisdom. We have people on the show and their journey.
Yeah.
And it's just soul support. Because what happens when you start to really get on a path of alignment and you're going to make big changes in your life, you start to feel lost because everything starts to fall away that you know. So you need a support system. You need somebody who's walked the walk before.
Yeah.
And I have mentors in my life, and hopefully now I can be a mentor to other people.
Yeah. So you have, again, the website is www.zencuda.com. Zencuda.com.
Yep.
And I actually went to the website today, and it said Zencuda is energy. It's the power within a person who has come to understand that truly living means forging the soul's purpose by creating a unique connecting with the power that lives within us.
Right. So simply put, it's basically just living in your soul space.
Right.
Like we all have these things our whole life that are like intuition, or, maybe we're at a job and we're really successful, but we don't love it. And we have this little thought in the back of our mind, I always wanted to. Zencuda is you go out and you do it.
Right.
And now you're living in alignment. And, we all have those worries, self-preservation. Oh, I can't make enough money. Oh, my parents are going to hate me. Oh, my spouse doesn't understand me. But when we are in alignment with our true purpose, everything works out. We might go through a cycle. We have some tragedy.
Yeah.
But in the long run, the universe responds to that energy.
Right.
So it's scary. But what's the point of us having a lifetime if we're unhappy, if we're not living our potential?
That's the thing, is it's living an authentic life.
Right, authenticity.
And not just, it's just.
Like we play a role. Like for me, what happened was I was on the fast track. I had a life that was, to outsiders would say perfect. I remember times with my ex-husband when we would come home from a Sunday out on the boat or out on Fire Island or wherever, and we'd look at each other and we'd be like, man, we have nothing to worry about.
Right.
There was like nothing tragic in our life.
Right.
And then, of course, things started to happen that were tragic. We lost people, parents pass away, things. I got cancer. And I realized that everything that I had up until those moments when I stopped and really looked around was never anything I really wanted. It was like I was playing a role. You grow up, you get married, you buy a house, you do this, be successful, get a career, blah, 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 blah.
Right, right.
You live in certain neighborhoods, your house has to look a certain way. Oh, you better wear this, do you have that? Drive this car. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, no, it is. It's trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it's really staying authentic to yourself. That's how I look at it. And on the website, you also have motivation goals.
Yes.
You have balance your body.
Yep.
And
so I do life coaching.
And is it find your soul? No. Feed your
soul,
feed your soul.
So all that comes into play. Yeah. I do professional speaking engagements.
Yes,
and
you
do.
Also,
in the company I work for, I used to do wellness.
Yes.
I work at Signature Real Estate, and we have we're one of the largest companies on Long Island, and we have a large culture of wellness. So I'll do retreats, yoga retreats for them, day retreats.
You do corporate events, you do group talks, you
motivational
do lectures, and motivational speaker.
And it's basically based on my story. I'm not Dr. Phil or Oprah Winfrey or Gabby or any of those.
Telling your truth in your journey.
I'm just, a woman who lived the path. I'm still living it now. There are
Right.
changes I need to make in my life, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
We all have
pivot.
attachments.
We all have to pivot.
Yeah, we have
right?
attachments to let go of, especially in this energy that the world is in now. And, I decided to put Zencuda together as a community for people in my shoes,
Yeah.
So
That's important because we all go through stuff.
We go through
all
stuff.
lose loved ones, and we all
Spill
go
the
through
tea,
stuff.
T.
But it's true. It's true. But some of your topics range from mindfulness,
Mindfulness is a big
to
one.
self-realization,
Yep.
and practical applications of spirituality and balance to daily living. And I
Yep.
think that we're all off kilter a little bit.
We are. And I'll leave everybody with one tip tonight. And this is this. Get in touch with your breath. Because one of the things that saved my butt when I went through all the tragedies that I went through, and it was a very deep, deep loss, I had compounded grief. And one of the things that I learned when I started to do yoga is to work with your breath. And it can be something very simple.
Okay.
Because the breath puts us in the present.
Right.
And even just like a 4-part breath where you take 4 seconds to inhale, hold, 4-second exhale, hold at 4 seconds. Anything that'll make you be where your feet are. Because what happens is we're not living our life because we're not fully present.
Like, in other words, in the moment.
Got to be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Yep.
And it's true. There's some times when I'm on set and I try
Yeah.
to be mindful and stop and really absorb
You have to.
what's around
Yeah.
me.
Otherwise, you're not truly living. You don't
Yeah.
have the experience. And we learn in our lives through direct experience. So think about it. If we're not really 100% in that direct experience, we're not getting all the wisdom and the juice from it. And that juice is what really makes us tick.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
connection
yeah,
with
yeah.
life, with we're connecting now. And so if you don't take a moment to make that eye contact, focus on the breath,
Right.
really look and see what someone is, who someone is.
Right, right.
And so, I work with a lot of sales agents that are really on the fast track. And if I can do mindfulness with them and bring them down to a place where they are more present, they find their business flourishes, their relationships, both personally and professionally, flourish. So I think that's one of the keys. If someone is finding themselves in a transitional point in their life, try and just focus on your breath now and again.
So that's part of meditation?
Yes. Yeah. And people,
How many, should people do that on a daily basis, and how long?
Yes, I think that with the world we live in now, with the energy that's in the world right now,
yeah.
it's very important for us all to have some kind of a daily devotion.
Okay.
And people will say to me, well, I can't meditate. And I say, if you can breathe, you can meditate.
You want to know why? Because when I try to do it, my shopping list will pop into my head, or what I have to do
Right.
when I'm,
Yeah.
my brain is too busy and scattered.
Well, that's the Gemini energy.
And
yeah.
it's so hard for me to sleep. I
Mercury
don't sleep. If
yeah.
I get 3 hours a night, it's
Right.
a lot. I don't
Yeah.
sleep. It's like my brain won't shut off.
So your brain can't shut off, but you have a lot of Gemini energy, which is very cerebral, and a lot of air in your chart in Earth. So you're going. But one of the things I tell people is, if you have that type of personality, that type of energetic field, don't put pressure on yourself to go into a state of Om and you're gonna be like the 150-year-old yogis.
Yeah.
Maybe meditation for you is taking a walk. Going, especially
Okay.
for you have a lot of earth in your chart, a lot of air in your
Not
chart.
a traditional meditation.
Yeah,
Got
walking
it.
by water. Like water
Okay.
is very important for you, with your energetic
I
field.
like that idea.
Yeah, so I think, maybe it's something where you put a fountain in the backyard, or something where you're, and
Yes.
for 5 minutes every day, just
Yeah.
sit there.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so, that can be a meditation.
Right.
Like for me, every once in a while, I just go out and look at the clouds. And I just,
Just something that's very,
Yeah,
I guess, soothing,
yeah,
calming.
Yeah, and once you start to do that, it just brings you to a place of remembering what that feels like. Because what happens with a lot of people, I also do volunteer work with cancer patients, and a lot of people who, especially when they're sick, they don't want to be in the body.
Right.
So you get, not present. And so anything that reminds you what relaxing feels like. Like I tell, busy moms, just wake up 10 minutes early and go in the shower for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any place that you can actually just have a moment.
Right.
And just bring yourself down. I remember when I was really having a lot of change in my life, and everything was falling away and I had no stability. One of the things I just did instinctively was I used to, when things got really hairy, I would just look at my hand, and I would actually just start to just look at my hand. and it would bring me back into my physical space and where I was.
Right.
And I don't even know what made me do that, but it was just some kind of intuitive, instinctive, primal thing. You know, like, no, Georgia, you're here. Okay, I'm here.
Right,
I'm real,
right.
I'm here.
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because we have a tendency to get so far ahead of ourselves, or when we're grieving, so far behind ourselves.
Yeah.
And think about all the loss, you know, and it's tough. So mindfulness, being present, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes a day, if you can devote yourself to that on a regular basis and really devote, you know, again, that Zencuda, that devoting of that energy that you would use for other things to the real thing.
Right, right.
I think that really makes a big difference in people's life.
It's kind of almost like trying to like just center yourself and just
Yeah,
try to be.
I tell people, slow your roll. Slow your
slow
roll.
your roll. That makes sense
Yeah.
because everyone's in a hurry today.
Everybody
Everybody's
is,
in a hurry
yeah.
to get somewhere.
And the way we respond to it. You know, like I always use the analogy, how many of us, when we stop at a light and we're distracted and the light turns green and people start honking at us. Well, instead of just accepting that and being like, oh, I was somewhere else and going, now we have a whole bunch of feelings that we attach to it, like, oh, that guy behind me is an idiot. Oh, they're so impatient. Or, oh, what's wrong with me? I wasn't, you know, watching.
Right.
When you slow your roll, you don't have those judgmental moments. You let go of things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
so true because I know everyone's in a hurry. Everyone's in a hurry, and it's
Yeah.
like, where are you going? You're just gonna get to your grave quicker. Slow
It
down.
feels like a beehive.
Yes.
The world feels like a beehive.
Yes.
And I always think to myself, would I want to be in a beehive? No. So I kind of go over here. I'm going to be a little bird in the tree. Let them all be in the beehive.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's so true. This is so fascinating. I'm so happy you're here.
I hope they find it fascinating.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm grateful for everyone who's watching Tea Time. Listen, we're going to take my last break. And when we come back, more with Georgia Rose after this. Don't go away.
Wonder Woman was everything to little girls, especially that look like me. She stands for being a voice for people that need a voice. My organization renovates homes for people with disabilities. And when I come home, a self-care routine makes me feel my best. I'm very proud of the difference that we're making, and to see that impact in my community inspires me to work even harder for everyone around me.
Hey everybody, it's Theresa from Tea Time. What's my show about? I interview people in the entertainment industry, producers, directors, actors, and guess what? My show is on every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Channel 20 on Optimum TV. So tune in because it's fun, interesting, and exciting.
Who's the best comedian you know?
Theresa Farrow.
And who's the best actress you know?
Theresa Farrow.
And who's the best cast member in Bad Boys?
Teresa Farrow.
Who's got the best radio?
Teresa Farrow.
Stop. Who's your favorite Jimmy?
Teresa Farrow.
Who are you loving right now?
Teresa Farrow.
All right, Duck. I love you too, baby.
Love you as always.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm with Georgia freaking Rose. Georgia Rose is in the house.
In the house.
She is in the house. She's, you know what, but she's in this house. She's in this house Monday nights at 7 o'clock.
In the soul
right before
space.
my show. Soul Space is her show. It's a podcast. There it is. Thank you for putting that up. Spiritual wisdom, astrology, tarot, and soul path support. And it's such a great show. She also does astrology, which I find fascinating. So she's a podcast host, astrologer, life coach, and psychic medium.
Right.
And you know, she does it all.
And there's a lot of people in like the spiritual world that like have all these things, you know, after their name. And I never wanted to be like that, but you know, so it's all integrated. Like
Yeah.
at first I started to do tarot, and I just, for some reason, Spirit kept saying to me, ask for the birth date and the time. And I
Right.
started to run people's charts, not even really knowing astrology.
Right.
And the chart is a gateway to the soul for me. And that's why that was starting to happen.
That's interesting.
So yeah, so it was definitely all came together a certain way.
So how long are you doing your podcast, and what made you decide to do one?
I didn't decide to do one. The universe made me.
There you go. That's how it happens, people.
Yeah, it's just a girlfriend of mine was working in another studio, doing booking, and she knew I had a YouTube channel, Zencuda on YouTube. I have a lot of videos there.
Yeah.
And she had been watching a few of my videos, and she called me up. I knew her for years, and she's like, "Hey, did you ever think about doing a podcast?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And so
welcome to this crazy world.
This is what happens. The universe finds you when you least expect it. So she said, "Yeah, come down to the studio," and I started to do the podcast at a different studio, and then I found Bobby Lacera at Paradise, and man, it's been no looking back. He does so much for us here. I love my Bobby.
He does. He's the best.
Bobby
He's the best. So how long are you doing your show here now?
Here, I think I'm almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years this summer.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I forget, like I come in every Monday and I do the show, and I'm notorious for coming in like 20 minutes before airtime because
20 seconds.
I just like let it all flow. I'm like I've always been that way. I just am like I like to have
me up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm just spontaneous because I know Spirit's got me. But I love doing it because the feedback from the show is so wonderful. There's so many people that tune in, and then the show, of course, goes other places. You can even ask Amazon Alexa to play me.
Yeah.
And it's out there helping people, and that's just such a great feeling. And it helps me too because some of the guests we've had and some of the call-ins, like I learned from everyone else. So it's just a wonderful community where we all collaborate and trying to get our souls straight.
Yeah. Oh, we all need that. We really do. You mentioned before you're a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
I know my grandmother passed away from breast cancer. I am a skin cancer survivor. I had skin cancer.
Changes your life.
It really does. On top of everything else that I've been through, because with me, and we could get into this off air, but I almost died 5 times in my life.
Oh my gosh,
and the brain tumor was 9 years ago.
You're meant to be
now.
here.
I don't know. God doesn't want me yet, Georgia. But the breast cancer, your mom, that ran in the family.
Yeah, my mom and my grandmother, both died of a disease that I survived. So that I always say, well, I'm here for a reason.
Well, again, with progression with medicine throughout the years helps too. Did you take the BRCA test at all?
I did. It was negative. So
really,
I'm a very lucky girl. I had one of the best outcomes someone could have.
Wow.
But what happened with the breast cancer, I always say, and I do a monthly Reiki circle for survivors.
Okay.
And very active in Babylon Breast Cancer Coalition. If anybody wants to volunteer or send a donation, please do. I'm on the board there now. And so I always say there's 3 parts of a crisis, a healing crisis. I don't think of it as me being sick. It's a healing crisis because it really turned my life around. Cancer was my alarm clock because when I had cancer, I had to stop. And I had been on that path that I described before, and cancer was the thing that, boom, the world just stopped.
Yep.
And I really started to reevaluate everything in my life. And so it was one of the
Yeah,
it was one of the best things that ever happened.
The first thing I did was I got rid of every toxic person in my life.
Yep, there's no
Every
BS.
toxic person, bye-bye.
Yep.
Because toxic people causes stress, and stress shortens your life. And I know I want to be as old as my parents one day.
Yeah.
So.
And also I think when you face your own mortality, life takes on a different meaning, and like you can't fight over like there's no salt on the table. Like that is so ridiculous.
Right. Or my meat isn't cooked enough, or it's just such petty stuff.
No, you live in a different consciousness, different world.
Yeah.
And so I always believe there's 3 parts to a healing crisis, and the first part is the breakdown, where you're like. I remember when it first happened to me, my thing was I didn't want to be a statistic. I said, I didn't work this hard in my life to just be a statistic.
Right.
So that just shows you where my head was. I had to kind of do a little twisting on that.
Yeah.
But you have the breakdown. Then you have the breakthrough, where you like start to become spiritual, because when you face your own mortality, there's really no place else to go except the truth of what life's meaning is.
Yep.
And I'm making it sound kind of trite, but
and
of
what
course
you've done, you look back at what you've done, and then what you haven't done, and you want to do.
So it's this deep, quest and journey that one goes on, and so that's the breakthrough, where you start to find your truth and your identity. And then there's a part to which a lot of people forget, and that's the third part, because once you have the breakdown and you go through the breakthrough, and things start to come out, and you're coming through the tunnel, and things are getting better, a lot of people just resume their life. Oh, I'm lucky, good, But that third part is the breakout. And that's where you reach back and you help everybody else who's still in the tunnel.
Yep.
And that's the most important part of the healing crisis and what happens. And I think that when you see a lot of times people who have repetition of those crises, it's because they don't reach back and help the other people. There's a third part that hasn't been completed.
Right.
So they keep getting put in the breakthrough. No, we're trying to teach you. We're trying to teach you here. you know, and look, I'm no better than anybody else. I have my moments to this day where you doubt.
Oh, sure.
You know, but doing that work with the cancer survivors and the women in treatment, we lose people all the time. Doing that healing work and showing them how to relax and how they can have some respite is the most rewarding thing that I do. And it makes me, every time we do that once a month, it brings me back to what's real.
Right.
And I'm grateful for it because I've learned more from those ladies than I have from anything in my life.
Now, this is once a month that you meet physically in
Once a month, we meet in West Babylon.
West
And I
Babylon.
do a Reiki circle for breast cancer survivors, people in treatment, and patient survivors, and also their caregivers if they want to come.
Right. No, that's very, very important because you need support.
Yeah.
You need an outlet.
And the coalition is amazing. Babylon
Yeah.
Breast Cancer Coalition is just amazing. And there are many coalitions throughout the
Throughout-
island
I'm
that are
sure-
like
I'm
that.
su- I'm sure
so
there
if you're in crisis or you just get a diagnosis like that,
Yeah.
reach out
Google
to your,
it. I would
yeah.
Google it because
Reach out to your local.
There's something out there for
There's
for
so
everybody.
many things, and it's just such an amazing group of warriors. I mean,
And
the
look
inspiration.
on Facebook because there are a lot of support groups on Facebook. I know I'm part of a brain tumor support group on Facebook.
You've really been through it, T.
And my brother is an esophageal cancer survivor, and I told him to look
remember that,
into
yeah.
that also.
Yeah.
2 years, thank God. He just did a colonoscopy. We're praying that everything comes
Very
back
healing
good.
to be with other people.
Yes, who have been through it.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like you're alone, and people are really understanding what exactly you went
And
through.
I think there's also a connection that happens because you feel liberated to talk to people who are in it or been through it, whereas sometimes you really can't even talk to your own loved ones like that. You know, you want to protect them.
And it's very emotional for them.
Very, very.
You know, it's really hard for them to put their feelings aside.
Yeah, yeah. And we deal with now. What we find is that the diagnoses are coming in younger and younger, and so we have a lot of people in treatment who have small children, and they just don't want to stop because they're like, no, I have to do this for my family. I have to, and you need to take care of yourself. You know.
Yeah.
So coming to a group and hearing other young moms and what helped them is really important.
Did you do a self-exam, or did they found it a mammogram?
It was a mammogram for me.
Okay.
And I remember when I first got sick and everyone was like, what can we do? What can we do? And I said, you can go get a mammogram. Because I just really believe there's a lot of women out there, and men too.
And
We
men.
just lost a man at the coalition, 32 years old, diagnosed.
Oh, how young.
Yeah. And I always tell everybody, get checked, get checked, get checked. Do not neglect your health.
No, how important is it to listen to your own body?
Oh, very, very. Body never lies to you. I'll tell you, your body never lies to you.
Yeah. You have to just listen. Listen to your body. If something's off, just go. Go get checked.
Yeah.
It's so important. I'm going next month for my colonoscopy. Woo!
We're going to live stream it on the show. No, just
Oh my
kidding.
God.
Didn't somebody do that? Oh, Katie Couric or somebody did that?
Maybe. I don't
her
know.
husband
But
died of
no,
colon cancer.
but you know, it is important to go and get your yearly physical. Go get your mammo. Go
Yep.
get your gyno, and go get, you know,
Everybody,
You got
yeah.
I got so many. I got my hematologist, my
Yeah.
endocrinologist. I got so many. You know.
Yep.
And as you get older, you seem to get more doctors.
Definitely so. Yeah, definitely so. And also, like, wherever everyone is in their life, like, if you have something that's unique to you, that is something you can bring to someone else, bring it out into the world. Make that breakout.
Yeah.
The breakout is what we all need from each other right now. We're
Yeah.
all going to
Oh,
get along with
God.
each other, not
Absolutely.
without. So.
No, it's so true. So listen, Georgia Rose, yay! Podcast host, astrologer, life coach, and psychic medium. I want to thank you for doing this, and I want you
thank
to go to
you.
connect at zencuda.com. It's ZENCUDA.com. Also find Georgia Rose. Thank you for putting that up. Also, Georgia Rose on Facebook. And
Join our community.
yeah, and join the community. There it is. Listen, spiritual wisdom, astrology, tarot, soul path support. These are all things that we can all use. It's all positivity, people.
Yes.
And we all need positivity in our lives.
No negativity in the soul space.
And you share the same birthday as my brother.
Oh, really?
Yes, you do.
See that?
Yeah, because as I was doing my research, I'm like, oh, it's my brother's birthday. So yeah, I want to thank you for doing this. I want everyone to watch Georgia.
Yep.
Monday nights, 7
And
o'clock.
tune into Tea
right
Time
here.
again.
And then I'm right after her.
Yeah.
All right?
The dynamic duo.
It's true. But thank you for doing this. I'm glad we
You're welcome.
finally
Thank you for the opportunity.
got a Monday
Yeah.
to do this. And I want to thank everyone for watching Tea Time, supporting me, and I appreciate it. You know, I'm going to keep doing it as long as people keep liking it and watching it, and you know, because we all know
It's a great show.
Nothing lasts forever.
I always see
Nothing
your
lasts
guests come
forever.
in, you know, because
Yeah,
I'm before you.
I know,
And I'm
yeah.
always like, who's she got this? It's like always exciting. A lot of handsome men.
So listen, thank you everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember, tell everyone you love them, and I'll see you next week. Ciao, everybody.